Greetings. This is how I am demonstrating the value of Ed and Aline Patane. Being compassionate and generous is something I love to do. So what I've done to demonstrate these values is I've been kind to the community. I've always find time to volunteer, but it's just more about what I do in my heart. And even though it's difficult to volunteer and find things to do in my community, especially since I have a semester and busy, however, that doesn't mean I don't have time to volunteer. Instead, what I do is at my church, I help with slides. I always make sure that everything is run smoothly. And, it's not just that I do to generate kindness and generosity. I even volunteer for the garden. So at times when we're clearing weeds or getting rid of certain mulch and trying to make the garden beautiful at MCC, I also help out with that. And yeah, that's the thing about how I also service others. Even though it's difficult for me to find proof I've done service and have done much for the community, rest assured I always care. Currently, I'm doing leadership in action, and turns out with this skill set, I believe this will be great for me. I always thought a leader was someone like MLK or any of these top other guys, but no. Doing servicing others is a way to show that you care about people and how you can volunteer. In other ways I volunteer is I'm part of Mass Indigenous Legislative Agenda and Socialist Alternative. And look, I've been through many movements and I've been able to speak out, voice out, and carry flags and banners. And I always make sure that we always hear the voice of Indigenous people and people who are marginalized. And even though I haven't been volunteer at soup kitchens or at pantries, I always care about making sure that I have an impact on the world and just fight systemic racism. And, especially with what's going on now, I just really feel the need to volunteer. And I've helped out at parades. And, the fact that I love talking to people and making sure everyone leaves with a nice smile shows how much I really care much about the values of the Patanes. And, even though I don't have a father who loves me and who's very harsh on me and doesn't see me as a son who struggles, here's the thing. Family is so important to me. The person who loves me the most is my mom. She's able to showcase and demonstrate what it means to be loving no matter who you are. And what I've done to have a great family values and to make sure I have a good family is that, I'm respectful to my mom. I go on hikes with her and I speak to her, and, this is what it is. But the most important thing about all of this is faith. Faith is so matterful, and faith is just very important to me, actually. I've never had a good education system. I got sent to alternative schools, but even though I didn't graduate high honors, however, I pray to the Lord. I speak of the name of Lord Jesus. I talk about how much God has helped me. And, I always pray to God. And every time I pray to Him, I feel joy. And, faith has taught me the fact that even when your teachers criticize you and say that you don't deserve to work in politics or care for people, I don't care. Instead, it's a challenge and I use it to grow. And, this is how I found joy. Even though it's difficult for me to enjoy the world we live in considering what's going on, I do go on hikes. I think positively. I always think of how can I make this world a better place, even though things aren't going as good as I want them to. And, this is the thing about who I am educationally, and my future is the fact that, if I can get earning the scholarship is just my way of just being able to showcase and find time to volunteer, because education is so busy and that student loans and everything is so difficult to volunteer and care about others. And I really want to be able to be involved in business management and just improve the lives of people who are disadvantaged. And the children and family of Ed and Aline Patane, I am willing to carry the legacy of your parents in making sure that everyone's successful, and that no matter who you are, whatever you're disabled or whatever background, I will make sure that you will have equal opportunities and access. Thank you, everyone.